Hello, friends. My name is Marvin Espy with Art by Espy Art Instruction here in New London, Connecticut. And today we're going to be talking about composition using this somewhat innocuous presentation to talk about what composition means and how we use it in two-dimensional art and what the purposes are. So sit back and enjoy the video and let's have a conversation around what composition is all about. So to begin, let's just talk about what the word composition means. And when we look it up online, composition comes up in a couple different ways. So if we think of it as a noun, a composition could be a work of art, a work of music, or a piece of literature. Any of those can be called a composition. As an adjective, composition can be described as the nature of something's ingredients, how something is composed, or it's a description of its composite. But if we think of it as a verb or to compose, that's the place I want to land in today, where we lend our mind and our thoughts toward how to perform the act of composing a piece of work. And that's where the fun begins. So that we can land in a place a little bit closer to where we live on a daily basis, let's talk about composition not from a artistic or a visual artist standpoint, but let's talk about composition as a writer would compose a piece of literature. I think most of us can relate to this in one sense because we've all had to write for one purpose or another at various times in our life. So let's talk about writing. So in a writing composition, writing is the way a writer crafts words, sentences, and paragraphs to create a coherent work. This makes sense, right? A writer is going to use language, words, sentences, paragraphs, all put together in such a way as to make something that is understandable, usable, functional, or that communicates what the writer intended to communicate. Fundamentally, that's basically all there is, again, on a very fundamental level. So let's translate this into how we would discuss it in two-dimensional visual art. Here we are crafting, rather than words, line, shape, form, color to create a coherent work. So far, this information is good and valuable, I guess, for someone who needs the technicality of what are the ingredients or what is the makeup for creating something that's functional and purposeful. And of course, we are visual artists. And unless you are a graphic designer working with an ad agency or a design firm where you're trying to sell a product or service, we don't have to share in that same functionality, but we are free and liberated to create experiences. We can take the viewer on a journey. We can inform the viewer of something passionate or intimate. We can make the viewer question or reevaluate some thought or system. Or we can just create something that is visually pleasing and intriguing that draws the viewer in or directs the viewer toward a certain sensation, feeling, emotion, or empathy. And that's what I love to do. That's what art is all about in my mind. So someone might say, Marvin, I understand, I get it about strategizing and sitting down and planning, but I'm not that person. When I do art, I just want to get my materials out, get into a quiet space or with my music, and I just want to express, and I just want to put what's inside of me on a canvas. And I say to you, that's valid. It's valid, and you're valid, and that's a beautiful expression. But for those of you who want to take your viewer on a journey, those who want to elevate your work to a place that's transformative to your audience and to the people who take in your work, that takes intentionality. It takes study, and it takes developing not just your craft, but also your thought about how to execute. We'll talk about that more in our next session.